right, family. I had to cut the show and restart it. Hopefully people can still find the stream. I really appreciate you this morning. And sorry for any inconveniences. Let me know how we're sounding this morning. My microphone was way too hot, over-modulating. And hopefully I've got a chance to address that. If not, let me know. And I'll try to fix it on the fly. But it is what it is. I don't want to delay any further. Time is a wasting. I want to get straight to it, but just take a minute, family, and please like and share today's stream. If you are listening on Facebook and or YouTube, I cut the first stream. You should not be able to find it on Facebook now. You should find the new stream and have no difficulties finding the show. Again, sorry for any inconveniences. It's the Nathan Ivey Show. I'm live, I'm local, I'm vocal, and we'll get started in less than 1 minute.
You're listening to the Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now let's get back to the flow.
Sounded a lot better this time. My apologies, family. Now, you know I've been up since, about 4:30? And I go through my systems checks every single morning. Sometimes things just happen, inexplicable, but thank you for your patience this morning. Let's get started. 513-873-7134. Black hair not wanted at a Cincinnati private school. That's what the parents say. It was a very interesting and a heartbreaking story because as a parent, your children have to go to school unless you're going to homeschool, right? And making sure that they're in a good environment means everything. The anxiety that parents have about the environments that they send their children into on a daily basis means everything. And, as a good parent, you want to try to find a good place for your kids to be. Like, no good parent is going to try to put their child in a bad situation, right? No good parent would ever do that. Hey, good morning to you. Welcome back. 513-873-7134. It's the Nathan Ivey Show. Good morning to you. Broadcasting live from beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio, city of my birth. Welcome to my home studio. Good morning. Many things to discuss this morning. I do want to talk about that. I did put an interview request out to the family. We'll see if we get a hit while the show is still going on this morning. I would love to talk with them in particular. But if you haven't seen this Cincinnati Enquirer article, man, it is quite interesting. And from the parents' perspective, they're saying that their young son, who is about the same age as my son, he's 6 years old. My son's 5. He'll be 6 in January. Has what people call locks, which is a natural hairstyle. You know what I'm saying? It's a very natural hairstyle for melanated people all across the globe and including in this country and including in the city of Cincinnati. Tina and Nate Johnson of Coleraine have 2 sons, Harrison and Aston. They look like a beautiful black family, beautiful young boys. And they're saying that their sons were denied enrollment at the Zion Temple Christian Academy because of their hairstyles. What? Now, family, this kind of stuff is happening all over the globe. This kind of stuff is happening all over the globe, all over the country. I mean, there's been stories remember this story about the high school wrestler who was forced to cut his locks by the referee in order to continue in the match? Remember this? And I'm going to make a phone call this morning, perhaps live on the air, to the good folks at Zion Temple Christian Academy, just to get to see if there's any kind of word from them. You know what I'm saying? I want to get what their perspective is. And as I understand it, this is a private school, a private religious school. What'd you say, love? The black stream. I don't know, B. I don't know, son. That's children. He interrupts my show to ask me if I know what the black string is. It is what it is. I mean, it's his home. He can do that. I'm his father. So I'm very interested in seeing, what the hell happened. I mean, could you imagine having to make this kind of decision? That's a very difficult decision for parents to make. And on their website, I looked at the staff and the principal. The principal is a black man. What the hell? I don't get this. And isn't this school located in Avondale here in Cincinnati? That's a black neighborhood. I don't understand it. Maybe you do. 513-873-7134. Now, I got an early call. I want to go straight to the call this morning and see what's going on. Hey, good morning, caller. Welcome to the show. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Okay, I'm not sure who that is. Hey, call me back and I'll put you straight on. I'm not sure. I did give my number out to the parents via social media. Perhaps we can get a call this morning. I would love to hear their perspective directly. Okay, we're getting a call back. Let's see what this is. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I used to go to Zion Temple, and took a long call.
Hello?
Call back.
You can speak. You can call back. That sounds like that was a younger person who said, I used to go to Zion Temple. I'm not sure why they're having some issues. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello, I used to go to Zion Temple, and that school has been the same way since it started. Hello?
Yes, we are here. We can hear you.
Hello, I used to go to Zion Temple, and that school has been the same way for years. My parents went to go check it out, and I used to have braids, but they decided to get them cut off because they have a good education there. You can really feel like you can leave your child with these teachers.
Okay. Are your parents available? Can you hear me? I think we got the gist of it. They may be having some difficulty. So listen, my number is 513-873-7134. That is my number if you want to give me a call this morning. And you want to make sure that you either, turn your phone or your laptop or whatever device you're listening on. You might want to turn that down because you're going to get a delay and some feedback. And you should listen directly through your phone. But it sounds like what that young person was saying is that they were saying that they used to go to Zion Temple, that they had to cut their braids, but that they got a good education. So it sounds like that was someone who was trying to say good things about Zion Temple. Got another call on the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the show.
Hello?
Yes, welcome. Good morning. Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. I'm not sure what's going on this morning. Let me just do a double check of what I got going on to make sure that people can actually hear me, which is very, very strange that suddenly people can't hear the show. I can't tell you what that's all about, family. Let me see here. Let's do it old school. Let's do it this way. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning.
What's your name again, brother?
Hey, this is Billy Thomas. This is the minister's father.
Okay. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Good, yourself?
Doing well. What's on your mind, Mr. Thomas?
Hey, look, that was my son, my baby boy, calling you just a few minutes ago.
Okay.
He heard that. He was like, Daddy, I got to call. We looked at Zion Temple. The minister actually went there and then told him my youngest son. From the minute we walked in the door, we talked to the principals and everybody, and it was like, before we signed up, they said, we don't do the long hair here, as far as the way that this school is set up. And for us, my wife and myself, we had to make a decision as, is this the education that we want, or do we care about the hair? I mean, for us, it wasn't a religious thing as far as our hair, because the people, the folks we're talking about, I see they have dreadlocks, so it may be a religious type situation with them. But for us, it was just, did we want the value of the education or did we want the hair? And for us, we want the education. They have a great school, education-wise. They do very well. Most of the kids that leave there can test in the water heels. And most of them have, the ones that I know from that school. They leave right there and go straight over the walnut. The value of the education is what we
So what's the policy? How long can the hair be or not be?
Well, the hair, if I remember right, it's like shoulder length. You know, they don't want it down over the shoulders.
Okay.
You know, so like I said, when my son first went there, he had never had a haircut. So we're talking 4 years of long hair, you know, going down his back. So for my wife and myself, it was more of a process of, do we want the hair or do we want the education? You know, and we knew that, you know, from the teachers that were there, from the people that we knew whose kids went there, you know, from my older son going there, we knew that the education for us was worth the hair. I mean, like I said, it wasn't a religious choice for us for the hair. I mean, because I understand Muslims, you know, of that sort, you know, Rastafarians, you know, they're going to grow their hair. So I can't say anything about that as far as for their hair choice. But for us, it was just, hey, is the hair worth the value of the education that we're going to get? Mm-hmm. And from us, we felt like we got the better end of the deal. He's growing his hair back now, so, hey.
Okay. Hey, well, I appreciate
it. Was just something that can grow back.
I appreciate that commentary. Thank you for the call.
Hey, thanks a lot, Nate.
Yeah, most best. Take it easy. He said, listen, for us, it was the hair or the education. They chose the education. Again, I say that's a hell of a choice for the kids have to make. And okay, so you've got you've got a policy as it relates to hair length, but what's up with hairstyles? You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with locks? Like if the hair can be long, what's wrong with locks in particular? Are locks somehow against what, Christianity? Is it against just like the view of the administration? Again, this is a private school, so at the end of the day, you have to make your decision, I guess, as to whether you want to be there or not. Now, as I understand it, this particular family that prompted today's show in the Inquirer article, you can see them right there, they decided they was leaving. And I ain't mad about that. Because in my observation, and again, in no way am I trying to say anything about the gentleman who came in, his family, because you got to make your own decisions. But, you know, too many people in this city just go along to get along. We just assimilate. We just deal with it. And, you know, I like the fact that people stand up for what they believe in, even if it have to be more difficult in the short term. You know what I'm saying? If that's something that's important to you, it's important to you. I think there's a larger conversation going on about why black people are treated the way that they are in general. And I think that this conversation has a role in it. I want to get your thoughts on it. 513-873-7134. Are there more parents who are watching or listening this morning who have an experience with that particular school, Zion Temple Christian Academy? Do you think that in today's days and time, that's a small price to pay for your kids to get a quality education? You know, he said, oh, those kids are ready for walnut. Okay. That seems to be like the gold standard here in the city of Cincinnati. It is what it is. I'm looking at the young man's photograph right now, and I particularly don't see anything offensive about his hair. 6 years old, Aston Johnson. His hair is long, but it's not even past his ears. I think it looks pretty nice on him, actually. But, you know, I'm pro natural hairstyles. I don't have a problem with natural hairstyles. There's some people that look at natural hairstyles, some self-loathing black people, as it seems as well, that look at natural hairstyles and they see negativity. I don't see any negativity with it. To me, it's just another hairstyle. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a problem with it. Would you allow your child to attend a school? Let's say y'all had locks, your child had locks. The school says, look, this ain't working for us. This is not the image that we want to portray. I thought that some of the quotes that were in the Cincinnati Inquirer article were, you know, it was just, you know, sad. Quote, what's disheartening about Zion Temple is it's in the middle of a black community. It's a predominantly black school. How can you not accept your own people? That's a quote attributed to Christina Johnson. That would be the mother, I believe. How can you not accept your own people? Does she have a point? Does she have a point? Or is the larger point, you either deal with it or you don't deal with it? You tell me. 513-873-7134. I'd love to get your thoughts this morning. What do you think? What will you do? What will you do? And if it was like last minute, like, you know, you're like a month before school, I mean, that's a real high pressure time for parents. That's a real high pressure time for parents right there, where parents are like scrambling to try to figure out what's going on and how to make things work. You know what I'm saying? What do you think? Let's go back to, I'm going old school today, so just simple phone to the microphone. Hey, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. It's Felice.
Hey, how you doing, Felice?
I'm doing well. I was calling in because Zion Temple is a very strict school. The education there is immaculate. I have raised all scholars, and I didn't send my children there, but my sister sent my niece there. And my niece just graduated from Walnut Hills High School with honors. So it is a strict place, and I think it's a great place for kids to learn about boundaries. That is one of their boundaries. They want men to look like men and women to look like women. And it is a Christian school, so those are their core values. I don't see a problem with it. I think that if you hold those same core values, like as far as the type of Christian values that they hold, then it's understood. It doesn't have to be explained. So that's something that I think that's why you stay. I mean, I'm a Christian. I don't send my kids to Muslim schools. That's why people go to schools or places where they have like-minded values. And so that's just something that has always been. I lived over in Avondale over 20-something years ago. That school was there. That's how they operated. And so for me, it's like somebody coming to pick with what their policies and procedures have been forever.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you
so
for the call.
That's all I want to say.
I appreciate the call. Appreciate it. That's 2 for 2. Yes.
Can I have one of the meds you gave me?
No. You don't need a mint every day. I love you. Have a good day. Really? Okay. Well, we'll see. Okay, I'm being told that people, I don't need to go old school. Maybe I can go back to new school. We'll try that. All right, so we 2 for 2. That's Felice. She says, hey, that's their rules. And since they're successful, the ends justify the means. They're building scholars. And maybe the environment that they're creating is what they need to build those scholars. That's one view. These are people who seem to have some experience with it. What's your take? 513-873. My son is tripping. He is tripping this morning. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. Thank you. People saying it sounds a lot better. Too much bass. I don't have any bass. That's the thing about it. I have no bass in it whatsoever, Daryl. All the bass is taken out. But good morning to you. 513. Daryl says he likes the background. Great. That's a background for a new show that I'm doing, actually. I just want to try it out today. Jasmine writes, yeah, it's a black school. Let me back up here. I want to get all your questions and all your comments in this morning. But before I do anything else, I got to go to the chop shop. Pat writes, good morning. Thank you so much for your help this morning, Pat. She writes, good morning. Brenda writes, happy Tuesday. Brian's in the house. He writes, good morning. Deborah writes, good morning. Tanika writes, good morning, Nate in the choppers. Renee is in the house. She writes, good morning. She says it sounds good. Way better. Great. I want you to have a good experience this morning. Thank you. Good morning, Jared, Miss Tiffany. Tracy's in the house. Good morning to you, Tracy. Iona writes, good morning, Nathan and Choppers. I love the demo convention, especially Michelle. We'll talk about that. Thousands of Trump supporters were on the Fox 19 post being racist. It was disgusting. We must talk about it. Tanika writes, Zion Temple is a black school. A black school that doesn't allow natural hairstyles? Okay. Clue Magic writes, Grand Rising's Nate and the Choppers. Jace Chromeless is in the house, writes he can't hear him. Ashley writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Sharp writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Tanika writes, a person's hair has nothing to do with education. I have connections to this church, that house that houses a school, and this is ridiculous, she writes. Is it possible for two things to be true at the same time? We know that's true. Is it possible for you to get a good education and a quality environment and have locks? Or by not having this kind of natural hairstyle, you're promoting the kind of environment that promotes high quality education standards? That's a rhetorical question. Let me go back to the phone. Say good morning and welcome to the show. Oh, we just lost him. I was coming straight to you. Coming straight to you, brother. Hold on. Let me check one thing real quick. Yeah. We should be good. Angela writes, private equals they set the policy, adhere or disenroll. And that's exactly what the family did, Angela. It said, we out of here. But I think it's a fair conversation and a good news story in the context of talking about the black experience, the black family, and how black people are treated on all levels. This is just another part of that conversation, in my opinion. Tracy writes, so the message as church is come as you are, but at the school connected to the church is come as we tell you. The irony. And that's what the family brought up in the Cincinnati News article I read this morning. You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, we could talk about Christianity and is it good or is it not good for black folks? I'm not really sure if black folks is ready for that conversation. I'm about that life, though. We can't have that conversation. But there is an irony in that. Come as you are, unless you're coming to the school, then it's come as we tell you to do. What would Jesus do? Since Christians want to be Christ-like, what would Christ do? Again, I'm in no way a Christ authority. I'm just saying, I know that, but people throw that question out. If Jesus had a school, would he bar locks? I'll wait. Use a Donnie B phrase. You tell me. I don't know. I'm no Bible scholar. I don't know. I mean, Jesus was cool with the prostitutes. You telling me he wouldn't be cool with people that had locks? I mean, many of you have far more experience and insight and information about the Bible than I do. So I'll trust what you have to say. But you know what? We got 2 for 2 with calls. These are black people who said, look, the school is high performing. So whatever they got to do to get those kind of results, the ends justify the means. It is what it is. I have no plans on my children attending the school. My kids have already got other plans. But for parents who are there, if it's working for them, okay. I mean, is there any difference? Is there any difference in this particular school, Zion Temple, saying, look, we got a no locks policy, okay, and we're high performing? And another school that's high performing saying we have a uniform policy where you must wear a uniform. Is there any difference in that? 513-873-7134. Let me go straight to the phone. Say good morning. Welcome to the show. Okay. We going old school again. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan. I was had a comment about the school and the hair situation. I think it doesn't matter about the academics to me personally if the message being sent is that my natural God-given self is not acceptable or good enough. Who cares if I'm looking in the mirror and the school is sending me a message, oh, I'm great, I got great straight A's or whatever the case may be, but I'm being told I'm not accepted, I'm not acceptable, or my natural self is not good enough. So they're sending 2 different messages. Either I'm good enough and I'm smart, regardless of what kind of hair I have, or I'm not. I don't think you can be successful at educating a whole child by telling them part of them is not good enough. And that's how I see it when you tell a person that their hair is not acceptable. Their natural hair is not acceptable. To me, locks are a natural hairstyle. It's kind of like telling women, so if my daughter went there with curly afro, just let it grow out her natural head and just went every day, would that be acceptable or no? That's her natural hair.
Who am I speaking with?
This is Dee Dee.
Dee Dee, okay.
Yeah.
I'm
on here often, but I never called in.
Okay.
But yeah, that's how I feel about it. And I would have done the same thing the parents did. You just won't get my money or you won't be educating my child because that's not the type of education I want them to have.
Right.
Everybody had that choice. So they made the choice that I would have made.
Right. Hey, Dee Dee, thanks for the call.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate Dee Dee for that. Well, here's what I'll say. What I'll say is I respect black people that don't eat ish in this city because for too long, black people just eat ish. They put some some chili cheese sauce over it and they say, oh, it's good for me. I've seen it over and over again. So I respect the parents. I respect any parents who say, you know what, this don't meet our personal standard. I like that. I like that. And, you know, you should set your life up so that if you're in a situation like that, you can make those moves. It might be more difficult in the short run or the long run, but you standing by your own principles. I respect it. Like I said, I like it. I like it. I like it. Sorry about that. I like it. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. Now, we're talking about a private school, and I keep adding this caveat. So at the end of the day, it's their rules. When you go to a private school, it's not a public school. When you go to a private school, it's their rules. It doesn't mean it's not open to a discussion, though, because this is what we do in the world of talk radio. We discuss things, primarily in this show, things that impact the black family here locally and beyond. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Is there any difference between a private school who says, look, we have a uniform policy where every single day you must wear this uniform, okay, khakis and the shirt, and it's got the logo of the school over the left breast, and that same school or another school saying, listen, as a part of our school dress code, we don't want you to wear a natural hairstyle. Is there any difference in that? You tell me. Let's go back to the phones. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show. I'm doing great. Who am I speaking with?
This is Buckeye Alicia.
Say one more time for me.
Buckeye Alicia.
Oh, Buckeye Alicia. Good morning to you.
Good morning. I don't find anything wrong with this private school making their own rules, as long as the parents know before they make the decision to enroll. And from what I remember, my son graduated from Moeller High School, and before he was admitted, they did an in-person interview with my husband and I and the prospective student. And they went over things, including their dress code, including their code of conduct. And the student had to sign in that situation before he was even enrolled. I don't know if this school, I would imagine, I don't know this for certain, but I'm sure they let people know what their policies are well in advance of them enrolling their student, and they may even do an interview with the student as well, or at least with the student present. So as long as they were upfront about their rules, it is their right to make their rules. I would never send my child there. And how do they define natural styles? I think it's a shame that we as black people are banning other black people for wearing what naturally grows out of our scalps. You know, haven't we had enough of conforming and false ideas of beauty? And so, as if natural hair can't be beautiful. And so, I'm not really sure what they're considering natural styles. Are they banning locks? Are they banning embellished natural hair? So, for example, are they banning weaves, extensions, and stuff like that? Or are they just banning natural hair that grows from the scalp? But then again, they could just be natural in the style, because you have to get locks. Your hair doesn't grow in locks. So I'm sure if you look there are kids with higher afros, kids with even Stevens, kids that are almost bald, but that's what naturally is growing out of their hair, their scalp. I suspect that parents put their students there because they want a Christian education, and a very good one that is, conducive to their rules. And as long as they didn't spring it on them after the child was already there, I'm okay with whatever rules they put down.
Mm-hmm. Well, from the article I read, Alicia, so the family says that their son was there last year with the same hairstyle. And they said, well, this year,
going to change.
Well, maybe after a year, your hair grows longer, and maybe they updated the policy.
And so as a parent who's paying for their child to be there, that parent or those parents have the right to address the principal and the board to see, why the change has been there. But, if the hairstyle is more important than the education, then by all means, those parents are free to find another school.
And that's what they did. And that's exactly what they did.
I don't have a problem with it. I think that's how it should work.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not doing what you want them to do, it's a private school. You can take your show and your money elsewhere. I wonder, did they put their child in another private school?
Let me double check. I think they put them in the Northwest schools, from what I read in the article, from what I recall.
Right. Okay. And so perhaps, they decided that it just wasn't worth it, or they could do it another way, or maybe they even moved. Because Northwest schools are nowhere near Zion Christian Academy, right?
Again, I haven't looked at the numbers, so I can't tell you.
Yeah.
That's outside my knowledge at this moment.
I like schools like Zion Temple and Cincinnati Christian Academy and Middletown Christian. They offer a Christian education. But and Moeller, they offer a Christian education. However, it comes at a cost, not only a price, but of individuality. My son had the chance to wear either black, gray, or navy pants. That's the extent of his individuality. He could wear the white shirt with the slim collar, or the white shirt with the regular collar, and a sweater over it. That was him for 4 years. And he got a great education, and, maybe he found his individuality in the clubs that he belonged to and the activities, but it wasn't in his hairstyle.
All right. Hey, Buckeye Alicia, thank you for the call.
Have a great day.
Yeah, I will. You too.
Oh, you lost a lot of weight. You look great.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, that's motivation right there. Like I told you, when your life flashes before your eyes, it changes everything. I love being alive. I got a beautiful wife, a beautiful family, and my future is bright. I got a lot to live for, so I had to make some serious changes. And really, it just came down to renegotiating my relationship with food. You know what I'm saying? I eat to live. I don't live to eat. Simple as that. And just changing my relationship with my body. But I appreciate it. Thank you for noticing. 513-873-7134. Pam's in the house. She writes, good morning, all. Angela writes, from Bloody Sunday to Hair Wars Tuesday. That's right. The Inquirer is giving it to us. Ray writes, the audio. I'm not sure what's happening with the audio. Did they cover DNC? I'm sure they did. So men who have long hair don't look like men? We're on the precipice of religiosity. Tracy writes, my son went to a Catholic school, had no bearing on what he is taught at home, and all the boys had hair. She writes, meanwhile, the DNC was boring. Well, you can't say that about Michelle Obama. They're going to come for you. Take your black card. Pam writes, prayers and condolences to Miss Pat again. Tracy writes, can we talk about how college kids are packing up and coming home because of partying with no mask and spreading the madness? It's funny. I was just driving past the University of Cincinnati just yesterday, and I was seeing all of the college kids coming back. And matter of fact, I wasn't even driving past. I was walking past yesterday. My daughter, Medium Buddha, walked with me. And we were walking past, and I was like, you know what? I told her, I'm like, it's so funny because the students are returning, but the pandemic is even worse now than when they stopped last year or earlier this year. You know what I'm saying? It's even worse. We're in the worst. There's more people infected. The virus is spreading. There's more people infected now, and all the kids are returning back to college than there were people infected when the colleges and universities decided, you know what, no classes this year. But as I told my daughter, money talks. And we had a little conversation about it. Money talks. And we were taking a power walk with our mask on. Believe it or not, you can exercise with a mask on. And I'm preparing her for the possibility of wearing a mask in school. You got to walk around with your mask on now, do stuff now, so that if you go to school, that ain't the first time you put a mask on. That you know what it feels like to walk around all day to try to do normal stuff with a mask on. So she's going to be practicing over these next 5 weeks or so, perhaps. We'll see. But as I was doing it, it was very few people that had masks on. You got parents, they just walking past you, walking all close to us. It was hard for me to keep my language, and, a little bit. She was like, Dad. I'm like, sorry. People jogging right next to you, breathing all hard. I'm like, Hey, yo. Those are fighting words, man. I ain't trying to get your COVID-19 germs. Clue Magic writes, Jesus probably had locks. The irony. Renee writes, so what would the conversation be like if it was a white private religious school? We probably using the R word. Tanika writes, Jesus wouldn't agree with half the stuff we say we're doing for his sake. Jericho writes, Christian school, huh? I wonder if all the teachers are heterosexual. I wonder if all of the staff have children born into marriage. I wonder if the teachers refrain from fornication. I don't know. That'd be pretty deep. Ray writes, Cincinnati is way behind on culture. I've seen black children in private schools from Chicago, New York, Cali that wear locks to school and they excel. How performance over self-esteem and awareness. Mrs. Love Being Black writes, good morning, fellow beautiful smart choppers. Good morning to you. Tracy writes, I bet if that school's enrollment went down, the locks policy would be dropped. Money talks. That's why white private schools keep securing the bag. Perhaps. I mean, if the school is doing well and their enrollment is meeting all of their expectations, then if one family wants to pull their kid out, they're probably like, that's your choice. See ya. But if you're going to stay here, it's going to be our way. And again, I add this caveat. We're talking about a private school, so they have the right to do what they want, to set their policies. You either go or you don't go. For me, I think it's quite interesting in these days and times. We were just talking about locks. Matter of fact, I was playing for you it was last week, and a couple times last week, it was reported by Bloomberg Urban Report that black women with natural hairstyles are less likely, to get that interview or to get called back after the interview. So knowing that, what's the smart thing for people to do? Is it smarter for you to stand by your culture, stand by your locks, even if that costs you entry into the industry that you're looking for? Or is it smarter for you to assimilate? Cut your hair, rock the straight hair, do what you got to do to get your foot in the door, establish yourself, and then go start your own thing or get to a position where you can decide to wear your locks again. I'm growing my locks back. What's the right thing? I mean, there's some parents who it's so deep in terms of being, melanated or black in America. It's so deep that there's some parents that will choose to not name their children certain things. Or should I say, there are parents who have discrimination in mind when they're naming their kids, to the point where there's some parents that won't name their kids ethnic sounding names because they fear it might be a barrier for entry in the workplace or into American society. That's deep. You can't even name your kid what you want to name your kid because you're afraid that might bar them or that might open the door for them to be discriminated against in a job, application sort of situation. You know what I'm saying? HR manager like, no, we don't need all that over here. Mohammed. We need him. We got a Mohammed down. He's a janitor. We already got one Mohammed. We don't need two. I'm just saying the issue's real. Mike Jones writes, good morning, choppers. Angela writes, the COVID-19 waves will continue, yes. Mike Jones writes, black hair is good hair and self. Tracy writes, the first piece of education these kids are getting in Zion is that their blackness is not good enough. Let's say I agree with you. For the sake of argument, Tracy. But if all of the other things they're getting leads them to go to Walnut Hills or leads them to excel academically, is that a small price to bear? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're a black father, black mother, black parent, you want to set your kids up in the city of Cincinnati so that they have the absolute best education possible. If that means that you can't wear locks, is that a small price to bear if you feel like you're setting your kids up for mediums, short-term, medium success. Like long-term, when they become adults, is on them. But you want them to have the best education possible. You tell me. 513-873-7134. Tracy writes, it's sad, Dee Dee. Who do they want to emulate? Wealth over health. See, Ray writes, how funny. How is it being prefaced under private? Ain't no rules if you get public funds. You want your rules, fine, but no public tax dollars. We got Tracy calling in right now. Hey, good morning, Tracy. I'm old school, so I got you on speaker. Good morning. Hey, Tracy, can you hear me? Hey, Tracy, can you hear me? I don't know what's up with Tracy. I can't hear anything. I don't know. Let me see. Chocolate Girl Wonder writes, let me go to Facebook and see what she's talking about. I literally fell asleep at the end of Michelle Obama's speech. Hashtag come for me. Well, I'll play some of that speech for you in a second. Here's Tracy calling back. Let me see. Hey, good morning, Tracy. Welcome to the show.
You got your phone rigged.
I don't know what's going on this morning. I'm just trying to do what I got to do.
You know what? When it rings, there's just silence.
Huh,
so
okay.
I don't know if there's something going on your end, but I'm calling because of your follow-up to what I said. And I'm not arguing. Let me preface that. But what I think, Nathan, is when I make the statement about the first thing they learn is that their blackness is not good enough. I'm not personally willing to just put them in that school for the sake of saying that they're going to get a good education, because the first thing that we have to teach our children is to love themselves. And I don't care if you go anywhere from Walnut Hills to St. Ursula or St. X. If you don't love yourself, all that good education doesn't mean anything. And it's not going to help you function in society. So I think rather than us trying to assimilate and fit in with good old white folks, we have to learn to love us and get them to see that, and not even get them to see that, but, you know, I just get tired of black folks having to get in where they fit in. And it's even more sad when it's our own. You know, you're either going to accept me for who I am or not. I remember when my older son, Chase, he's 19 now, when he started working for Kroger at 16, he had all of the lock afro thing going on, whatever you want to call it, and I made him cut his hair off for his interview. And he said, Mom, there's already kids in there working with their hair like this. And I was like, you know, just, you're going to your first interview, let's just look the part. I will not do that with my second son, who can't find a job now because 40 million people are out of work. But I'm going to have him go in who he is, with his hair the way that it is. You know, your first kid, you know, is just trial and error, but you know better by the time the second kid comes along. So I'm saying all that to say that my kids wouldn't go to Zion Temple Christian Academy. I think that's the whole name of it. I just think it's really sad and a shame that, you know, it's come as you are on Sunday, but Monday through Friday, you got to do what they say and look the way they want you to look. And that's my little rant this morning.
Appreciate the call. That's Tracy from Cincinnati. Appreciate you. Yeah, I'm having some difficulties with my my phone lines this morning, so we going old school. Hey, listen, I got to take my first break, family. 513-873-7134. Today's show, black hair not wanted at a Cincinnati private school. That's what the parents said. They say school officials told them that their son's hair length and style was unacceptable. That's an image from the Cincinnati Enquirer this morning. I want to make sure they get credit for it right there. So what do you think? Is it worth it? As black families, black parents struggle to find suitable places to educate their children, is it worth it? Is this assimilation? Or is this just being pragmatic? You know what I'm saying? Is this pragmatic? Does a hairstyle mean that much to you? Or is it deeper than that? For Tracy, she's hitting on some other issues. But what do you think? Again, 513-873-7134. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
to the Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now let's get back to the flow. The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Black Business Report. I'm Donna Wilson. A minority-owned firm partners with Microsoft to launch a $250 million fund to help small and mid-sized businesses. Siebert Williams Shank has teamed up with Microsoft to launch the Clear Vision Impact Fund. Siebert Williams Shank is one of the country's top-ranked women and minority-owned investment banks. Pinterest has added a Black board member. Pinterest named Andrea Wisham to its board as the company seeks to navigate increased tensions with employees over recent claims of gender and racial discrimination. Wisham is president of Skywalker Holdings and was a former exec at Oprah's Harpo Productions. And drug maker Novavax has begun a stage 2 trial of its potential COVID-19 vaccine in South Africa. Novavax received a $15 million grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's your Bloomberg Black Business Report. I'm Donna Wilson.
Are you interested in medical coding, but not sure where to start? And scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified, marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5stepscoder.
This is Zoe Wesson. What side of history do you want to be on? The right side, or one where black people continue to be underrepresented in Hamilton County? Now's your chance to end 230 years of exclusion. In Charlie Winburn, we have a man that's received the Cincinnati NAACP President's Award, who fought on the Ohio Civil Rights Commission for 6 years, who received the Baptist Ministers Conference Community Service Award. Charlie Winburn has received the Southern Christian Leadership Conference Award and was honored by WDBZ The Buzz as Pastor of the Month. We know Charlie Winburn, and he knows us. He's the right man to put us on the right side of history. On Tuesday, November 3rd, vote for Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer.
I am Charlie Winburn, and I'm asking you for your vote on Tuesday, November the 3rd, paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
This is Zoe Wesson. There are a few times in life to make history. Hamilton County was founded 230 years ago, but has never elected a black county treasurer. It's time for change. Elect a proven, trusted, experienced candidate for Hamilton County Treasurer, Charlie Winburn. We know Charlie, and he knows us. Charlie Winburn was the former chairman of the Jobs and Growth Committee on Cincinnati City Council under the Honorable Democrat Mayor Mark Mallory. Winburn led the fight to 2,000 U.S. postal jobs in Cincinnati. He also fought for wage increases for thousands of city employees, especially our sanitation workers. Charlie Winburn will safeguard more than $1.4 billion in real estate taxes and will increase new home ownership and new jobs. On Tuesday, November 3rd, vote Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer. Let's make history together.
I am Charlie Winburn, and I'm asking you for your vote, paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
You're listening to the Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now, let's get back to the flow.
So I'm not sure how much you watched last night, but Michelle Obama, former First Lady Michelle Obama. And, I was listening to NPR and some other news organizations, and they say that Michelle Obama has a deep connection with the community. She has a deep connection with the black community in particular. Is that true? Is that true? But in a televised essentially speech from yesterday, she said numerous things, including the fact that Donald Trump is in over his head, that he's wrong for the country. And I think that that's quite I think that's quite easy to see, quite honestly. Like I said, I don't know how you feel about Donald Trump, and it doesn't really matter. You can feel whatever you feel about him. But I think it's quite interesting that, you know, COVID-19, in my opinion, really exposed Trump for what he really is. And that is not really ready for prime time, not really to deal with the issues as they happen with real people. Okay. And I don't care what you think about his policies. You have to have an opinion about how he has dealt with the COVID-19 process, the pandemic. You know, would Hillary have dealt with it better? Would we be in a better place if we had a different president that wasn't always trying to play politics and getting caught up with his own narcissism and ego? We can speculate and go back and forth about it. 513-873-7134. Let me go to Facebook and say good morning to Renee. She writes, good morning, everyone. Hey, good to see you, Renee. Brenda writes, good morning. Renee writes, good morning, Chop Shop. Good morning to you. Brian writes, good morning. What's up with you, Brian Taylor? Shauna writes, good morning. Greg writes, grand risings. Hey, brother Eddie Hawkins is in the house. He writes, morning, brother. Hey, same to you, brother. Casey writes, good morning, hashtag team and I. Kiki writes, peace, love, and life, family. Eb G writes, good morning, great people. Greg was telling us about the audio. Hopefully, I've been able to deal with that. Hopefully we're not having any issues this morning. Thank you. I appreciate that. Eb G writes, good morning, great people. Good to see you. Daryl writes, sounding good. Good, brother. Thank you. We had one stream up, had to close it down. Wanda writes, good morning. Dale writes, Michelle brought classy shade last night. I loved it. Is that what we calling it? Classy shade? Okay. Well, it's the DNC. I don't know. Typically after the conventions, you'll see a poll number jump, right? Because people are enthusiastic about it. The base of the particular party are enthusiastic. But, you know, people know 4 years ago I went to the Republican National Convention, had a great time. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Planned on going to this one, then COVID-19 hit, and I was like, nah, I'm cool. Like, if Joe Biden's not going to be there, we cool. We can all get it on streaming and online. It's all good. Kimberly writes, happy Tuesday. Hey, good morning to you. Dale writes, he likes the background. Absolutely, man. I'm shooting for the stars, so I thought a background should be appropriate. Let me see. TNT writes, good morning. Good to see you. Sister Iris writes, good morning, great people. Hey, good to see you, Sister Iris. Frenay writes, they have a very strict guideline for dress code. They have been that way for years now. Okay. Angela writes, good morning. Tamika writes, good morning. Good to see you. FG writes, they're probably waiting to hear themselves on the radio at the same time. Robbie C writes, private school equals their rules. Good to see you, Robbie. Good to see you, man. Lannis writes, good morning, brother Nathan Ivey. Good morning to you. FG's replying to Robbie C, yes, their rules, but doesn't make it right. True that. I mean, if the parents who go to that, who have children that attend and pay for tuition at school, if they cool with it, I mean, who am I to say? But I think it's worthy of a conversation. It's quite interesting. Some people have taken the religious argument like, hey, you can come as you are to the church, but not to the school? Wait a minute. Is there a relationship between restricting the hairstyles of the student body, and then adding to the environment? So, for instance, are you for school uniforms? You know what I'm saying? I'm someone who's favorable to school uniforms. It's easier for everybody involved. Perhaps it's less of the whole materialism thing that goes on. Is it something similar when it comes to hair? I don't know. We've had at least one parent call in and said, hey, my kid's getting a good education. You know, hairstyle was a small issue. But what do you think? Kiki writes, good education is a great thing. However, someone's hair has no major influence on how a person learns or will affect their education. How about people stop sending their children to Zion Temple, period? Andrelli writes, you good now. Thank you so much. Thank you. FG writes, we hear it all fine, including the callers. I could not hear the callers at all. Tanika writes, a person's hair has nothing to do with education. I have connections to this church that houses a school, and this is ridiculous. Robbie writes, education greater than hair. I know that. Kiki writes, our hair is our hair. Stop that ish. Do they tell the clear people to change their hair? ? No, they don't. That is another way of control, discrimination, and racism, because a lot of the so-called black schools, etc., are getting funded by the clear people. To each his own, but we have our own identity. Robbie writes, good luck at CPS. You're wrong for that, Robbie. Kiki writes, why do we have to always assimilate to European standards? Cleopatra writes, look up the real reason they call them dreadlocks. Nat writes, natural hair is good hair and self-love. Kiki writes, homeschool or online. C. Smith writes, facts, Nathan. I actually had a biracial coworker ask me, quote, when are you getting your hair done? And I refer to it as nappy. What? I just feel like we too caught up with the wrong things. I really do. I think it's possible for two things to be true at the same time, right? I think it's possible for kids to rock a natural hairstyle. Okay. And also to be those children to be a part of a learning environment that's all about excellence. I don't see the difference. But again, I'm not an educator. I'm not leading a school. Those individuals over at Zion Temple are doing it. And from what people are telling me this morning, I haven't looked at their numbers, but from what people are telling me, they're high performing. And we live in an ends justify the means kind of world. You know what I'm saying? If we get the result we're looking for at the end of the day, whatever we got to do along that way, people don't really care for it. Let me see. Tanika writes, what does hair have to do with boundaries? That sounds ridiculous. Tanika writes, that's pure religiousness. Dale writes, I'm surprised they have such a code at this, and this is an African-American school. However, it's their rules. If you want your children to receive an education from this institution, then you'll have to comply, submit, assimilate. I added the last two words. Kiki writes, I thought Christians were supposed to be loving and accepting of all. That's why on today's title, where's the love? Where's the love? Nat writes, these people are brainwashed, shaking my head. Cleopatra Jones writes, hairstyle shouldn't have anything to do with building scholars. I'm just saying. Kelly writes, so I guess Jesus wouldn't have been allowed to go to that school. That's hilarious. You built a Christian school that if Jesus was alive today, he wouldn't be allowed to go to the school. That's hilarious. I don't know. Tammy writes, Zion Temple has always had those strict requirements for their students. Okay. Robbie writes, JC probably had locks himself. Well, then JC would not be allowed to go to the school. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Little JC. Jamie writes, that is crazy. It's hair. Let these kids wear how they want. You can have locks and still be a great student. I think so. Lowland Prophets writes, religion is a tool to colonize the minds on YouTube. Good morning to you. Again, I'm on YouTube now, family, so I'm trying to get to that first milestone. I'm going to get to it, but I need your help in doing that. 1,000 subscribers, 1,000 subs. It will unlock the next level of interactions between creators and YouTube. So do your man a solid. Go over to YouTube if you're a YouTube kind of person. If you like YouTube entertainment and shows and things like that, I'm on YouTube. And please subscribe to the YouTube show and make sure you enable the bell notification as well. Brian Smith writes, good morning, Nate. Have a blessed day. I'll try my best. Jerica writes, Christian school, huh? I wonder if all the teachers are heterosexual. I wonder if all the staff have children born in a marriage. I wonder if the teachers refrain from fornication. Tammy writes, most of the teachers wear skirts and dresses and no jewelry, no makeup. So even the teachers sound like they got a strict dress code as well. Deshauna writes, good morning, Nathan, and all the viewers. Shake and bake. Absolutely. Jerica writes, now I do agree that natural hair or not, students' hair should be well kept, not matted, dirty, and with an odor. Tab writes, I love this conversation and appreciate you taking on this topic. I appreciate you. Appreciate you, Tab. Listen, I would love to get an interview. I'd love to get your thoughts as to what went down. Brian writes, let's see here, getting a call this morning. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. This is Tina Johnson. I'm the mother of Aston Johnson.
Hey, good morning, Mrs. Johnson. How are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm pretty good. I'm very excited that this is getting this attention because I think that the root of what I'm trying to just show is the fact that my son is 6, and I'm not going to teach him that starting today, we're going to change who we are, what we believe about ourselves, and what we believe in ourselves, and how we want to present ourselves is going to be acceptable. I have very long locks, and they're down to my butt, probably slightly past it. And I'm very successful in my career, and I didn't have to change anything about me. So I just feel like that's the point, and it's not so much that this school has rules. That's fine. I was willing to pay privately for that. I'll be willing to pay for whatever tutelage my child needs when he goes wherever else he goes. So I'm very excited, though, that this is the conversation.
Well, I'm excited you called in to give us some insight. So can you give us the background of the story? So when was this first brought to your attention? But let me start this. So I've been told by many parents, I had a couple of people, well, at least one parent whose child currently attends Zion Temple, and they said for them it was a choice between education or a hairstyle. So is this a part of the dress code? Are parents told that this is a dress code when you first enroll? What's that process like?
So I did hear somebody say that there was like a meeting at a different school. There is no meeting where they like kind of interview the student or have any kind of in-person meeting before enrollment. You do get the handbook, and in the handbook it does not specifically say locks, but it does talk about a lot of natural styles in the African American community, as in how many inches it can be and so forth. My son's been going there since pre-K3. He would be going into the first grade this year. And he has had his natural hair the entire time, which has transitioned into locks during his time of being there. So this would be, I think maybe he's going into his second year of growing his locks, so he has starter locks. But he decided that he wanted to do that. That wasn't a decision that I made for him because he wanted to emulate his dad, which I feel like is also important in this story because we should be applauding a young man who wants to be like his father. And I just feel like I'm not willing to change that for him. He has a great example, and I'm just not willing to change that.
Mm-hmm. So what happened this year? I mean, when were you first notified by the school? What were the circumstances about your son's hair?
So the school never reached out to me. I reached out to the school because I have another son who is 3 who would be able to start pre-K3 this year. They do have a great curriculum, so that is why I was sending my next son there. Now this son, he has never had a haircut, so his hair is longer. So I thought that instead of embarrassing my children or putting them in a position to potentially be embarrassed, I wanted to head that off by having that conversation on the front end. Like, hey, I've been going here for this amount of time and this is the situation. They waited to respond to me until just a week ago. So now I'm scrambling as not only a nurse and a mom in the middle of a pandemic to find schooling for my child.
And what were you told?
That this has been a rule for 38 years. And when I asked that, well, why wasn't this addressed before? Because not only was my child going there, because I know a lot of people are saying how strict the school is. They're not that strict. There's a teacher there that wears dashikis. So I just don't understand how strict they are. Like, they're not strict in the teacher's dress code. And then my son was not the only person with starter locks last year. Now, I don't know whether that child is going there this year or not. That's not really my battle to fight. And I'm not really upset with any child or any family that chooses to change their child's appearance to fit in. I'm just not willing to do that for mine. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like if I do that now, I'll be telling him to do that for the rest of his life. There's going to be plenty of opportunities for him to just be a black child who doesn't fit in. And I just feel like I kept asking the assistant principal, so if he doesn't fit in at Zion, which is in the heart of Avondale, surrounded by black people, like if he doesn't fit in there, then where does he fit in at? Like I just don't understand that. Mm-hmm. So I'm not gonna teach him that. I'm not gonna teach him today that he should change himself to fit any mold. Period. And if I have to teach him to be an entrepreneur, then that's what I'll teach him to be.
Mm-hmm. Was there any compromise that was offered by the administration? And is the administration black?
Yes, the whole school was black. I don't know of any white people there at all, like, or any of the other race, to be honest. I don't know of any other race other than black that is there. And at this point, they're not even answering my calls. So I had no choice but to try to, like, make myself heard. And at this point, it's not a matter of going somewhere you're not wanted. Like, I don't want to enroll him there now. They've already told me they don't want him there. So I don't want my child to be placed in a situation where he has to be looking over his shoulder or I have to do it for him. So that's not what I want. What I want is for them to take a look at where they're at. And so you're telling me that the children that are walking past that school don't fit in? You're telling me that the children that go to the church don't fit in? That if they look like my son?
Did they offer any compromise, like, hey, if your son is willing to cut his hair to a certain length, then we'll allow him to enroll? Was there any kind of conversation like that?
No, they flat out told me that if I had to choose either his education or his hair. And, I mean, he's been on a principal's list the entire time he's been there, so they're strictly basing this off of his hair. It has nothing to do with his academics. It has nothing to do with his behavior or anything like that. It's strictly for his hair. So if I don't change something that he loves and enjoys about himself, then I can't go to school there. And if that's the choice that they're making, then that's fine. Then I'll find somewhere else to go. He literally looks in the mirror every day to tell me how long his hair has gotten from the day before. Now, we all know hair doesn't grow that fast, but that's that's the joy that he brings to himself and looking at himself. He enjoys the way he looks. He wears the uniform when he goes there. He wears the tie on Fridays. He wears the appropriate shoes. I mean, he does everything else that is supposed to be of their uniform policy. And the policy does not specifically stay locked. It doesn't. But they're telling me that he can't come because of it.
Interesting. You said these are black people, the entire leadership. That's interesting. A couple of things that came up from my listeners. One listener said, so you can come to the church on Sunday as you are, but Monday through Friday, you had to come as we tell you to come. And then someone else said, that the very first thing we should be teaching black children is to love their blackness, to love themselves, hair included. What do you think about that?
I mean, even at Zion, they tell you that you're supposed to be loving yourself, but they're teaching my son that he can't. So it doesn't make sense to me.
Are you concerned that your children may receive an inferior education for the sake of, like, standing your ground on this particular issue about their hair? How do you square that as a parent?
Like I said, I was willing to pay for the private school. So if I was willing to do that, then I'm willing to pay for anything additional that my child needs to make sure that he stays on top of everything that he has to excel. So if that means that I have to pay for additional programming or tutors or in-home learning or whatever it is that I have to do, I'm willing to input that into my child. I'm willing to invest in my child, and I'm willing to bet money that he will be successful despite his hair.
And you said there's no communication between you and the school. I mean, at this point, it sounds like you've moved on, so there's no reason why you might want to communicate with them. Is there any circumstance in which you could see yourself maybe re-enrolling your children in that particular school?
I mean, you can never say never. I don't foresee it in this moment. I feel like there would definitely have to be a sit down. There would definitely have to be some dialogue. I really would like an apology or some explanation or something, because I was kind of abruptly cut off. And then when I tried to reach back out, like, to somebody higher up, there has to be some governing board or something. There was nothing. And I just feel like that's a complete lack of respect for somebody who has invested this much into the school.
Who were you speaking with? Who cut off the communication? Who was your main person to talk with?
His name was Rodney Napier, who I believe is the assistant principal.
Right.
So I never got to make it to a principal. I never got to make it to any type of board or anything like that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to reach out to Mr. Napier this morning and see if he'll come on and kind of give his perspective on it. And if he does, I'll certainly bring this up to him. Perhaps he's watching now. Who knows? But I think I agree with you. I mean, that's you've invested, so at least have the conversation at the very least. At least tell me what's up.
Right. Like, I can't change your rules. And I mean, like many callers have said, like, if I don't want to conform with whatever their rules are going to be, because what I did find out in this is that late last year, Cincinnati did pass the Clown Act, which included private schools and not being able to discriminate against hairstyle and hair type. Then the Supreme Court, from my understanding, repealed that last month. Right. So maybe that is also why he was able to go there last year and then this year it becomes a problem. Because he wasn't, like I said, he wasn't the only child in there with a natural hairstyle that was outside of what the handbook said.
So you're saying there's other students with a similar hairstyle. So we have to wait and see what their experience is going to be like. Are they going to be asked to leave like you were? And you saying there was no issues with your son, no behavioral issues? You know how sometimes that can be used against kids or used as a rationale when people want to make a move. Your son had no issues like that whatsoever?
No, and the school is very strict in that. Like, I don't think that there's an opportunity for him to have a behavior issue at that particular school, because everything is very regimented. But they have not regimented the hair up until this year. And I just feel like that doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't, especially because we travel. We've always, well, not always, but we have lived in Colerain for a couple of years in Colerain Township. So we drive to go there. So we valued the education they were providing, but I'm not willing to value that over the things that my child believes are great about himself. Not when I can still supplement that in other ways. Now, if there was no way for me to be able to provide the education that was up to par or whatever the case, then I would maybe consider something different. But I definitely feel strongly that I can provide to him what he needs from an educational standpoint and still feed his spirit.
Somebody writes, that church is governed by the PAW, Pentecostal Assembly of the World. She says you may want to reach out to them, the Pentecostal Assembly of the World. Are you aware of that? Does that sound familiar?
I am not.
Okay.
I am not, but I will definitely be reaching out.
Well, Mrs. Johnson, thank you so much for your time this morning. And if you have any updates, please, the door is open. Please reach out to me and I'll put it out to the audience.
I definitely appreciate it. I appreciate everybody's thoughts, everybody's opinions. I appreciate you for creating the platform to be able to discuss this. And I just appreciate everybody.
Okay. Well, have a good day. Wish you well.
You too. Thank you.
Most def. That's Mrs. Tina Johnson, and her son is the son that was in that news article. Appreciate her phone call this morning to give us the insights as to what happened. She sounds like a very strong, intelligent black woman, the kind of black people I like. And she said, listen, I'm willing to do what it takes. I love that, because you got to be willing to do what it takes to stand on your conscience. That's what it is. You may have to sacrifice. You may have to drive the extra 30, 40 minutes to get your kids from A to B. But that's what time it is, to put yourself in a position so you can stand by your conscience. It may be inconvenient momentarily. You may have to be out of your comfort zone. But if you feel like you want to stand on your conscience, I agree. And it sounds like it was very, 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 a very intimate decision. You know what I'm saying? Like, we should be promoting little black boys that want to be like their fathers. We should be promoting that. We should be embracing that. Dad has locks. This is a nuclear black family. Son wants to have locks. My son, it's the same way. My son wants to do everything I do. He wants to be just like dad. You know what I'm saying? And I hope that's because I'm promoting a positive dad issue inside the image inside the household. That's what I hope. Right? So when we see that, especially with all the issues in our community, why don't we promote that? I think that good leadership is flexible. Feel me, family? Good leadership. I understand rules. You got to have rules. You got to have standards. If you don't have rules and standards, then anything will happen. But I think in these days and times, good leadership is flexible enough to bend, right, to accommodate the times. Right. And in these days and times, yesterday we was talking about the black family, the crisis in the black family as it relates to violence. How much of that stems from the non-nuclear black family? I don't know. I don't have the details about all of that. OK, but I'm just saying in these days and times, we should be promoting that at all times, and not at all costs, but at a lot of cost. Right. Young boy looks in the mirror every day. You know what I'm saying? Want to be like dad. Dad's a great father, great husband. He wants to be like dad. Promote it. So mom and dad said, we ain't giving that up. That's important to us. I respect it. That's what time it is. Props to them. And she said she willing to do what it takes. I was willing to pay for a private education for my son. I can do that other places. That's not the only place in Cincinnati you can get a quality education. So I respect it. It's concerning, again, I've dealt with this at CPS, dealing with administrators that catch an attitude with you. They want to shut the phone and communication down. There's an arrogance there. There's a real arrogance. So what she said resonated with me when she was like, well, I've invested in you and now you won't even have a conversation with me. And I wonder if on the other side it's kind of like, well, we don't need you, lady. We listen, we got parents, we got a waiting list. We hitting our numbers. We got our enrollment. Screw you. We don't need you. I don't like that. I think people should be treated better, especially when they invest in these schools, whether it's a private school or a public school. I think that their customer service, being courteous, being a professional. You know what I'm saying? Leadership is not only dealing with the people that smile in your face, but it's dealing with some difficult conversations. You know what I'm saying? You might have some irate parents. You might be at a disagreement there. I think it's interesting. Like at the end of the day, it's a private school. They have the right to do what they want to do, but this is a public forum and we have a right to talk about what we want to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Even what they're doing at a private school. I think it's interesting. And I guarantee there's some people that's listening to this show and will hear this conversation for the first time who may or may not have been thinking about sending their kids to that school. May give them a reason to pause. I don't know. If they're high performing, I wish them well. You know what I'm saying? I wish them well. But I also wish the best for that family as well. They deserve that. I think it's a damn shame. This is the heart of Avondale. Is this what you got to do to be successful? It is what it is. What do you think? 513-873-7134. Again, let me put the image up right now. Beautiful black family. Look at this. That's what we all saying we need more of in the black community. The nuclear black family. Mom, dad, children in the house together. Right? Growing together, raising a family together. You know what I'm saying? That's what we say it's all about. We should be promoting that at all costs. At all costs, in my humble opinion. What do you think, though? 513-873-7134. Frenay writes, let's stop supporting these type of schools and support Cincinnati public schools. Let's put our money and time and energy behind the public school system. The public school system is not perfect. CPS has many low-performing and underperforming schools. Too many, quite honestly. CPS has another set of issues that they're addressing. Having spoken with the superintendent, I'm confident that she's serious about making sure that they raise the bar across the board and protect our families and our parents. But any institution where human beings are is going to have problems because of the human beings in it. But let me reach out to Mr. Napier. I'm a man of my word. I said I would reach out to him. Let me reach out to him via social media to see if he might be willing to come on and just talk about it from their perspective. I would be very interested in hearing that. If somebody knows Mr. Napier, can you please maybe send him a link of this show and say, hey, listen, your name is coming up. I'm not sure if you know about the Nathan Ivey Show, but Nathan would love to talk with you this morning just to get your thoughts. Let me see here. I'm going to send him a message right now. Give me 1 second, family. I'm sending him a message. We can do it live here. We can do it together. Let me see. Give me 1 second, family. Perhaps I can play some music or something for you, but give me 1 second. Are you available? I know, dead air, they say with radio is bad, but at least you can see me. For those that can see me. So for my chopper family, my audio family only, bear with me 1 second. Perhaps I can be a bit more professional and play a little bit of music in the background just to sort of entertain you a bit. But I need to send this message to Mr. Rodney Napier Jr. this morning. All right, there it is, family. I sent the message off. Perhaps we'll get a bite from Mr. Napier. I'd love to hear his thoughts this morning. I like to think that I'm fair. I'm fair and very biased, by the way. I'm very biased. If you on some dumb ish, I ain't got no time for you. If you out to harm the black family, I ain't got no time for you, no tolerations for you. I'm not going to act like it. If you creating policies that's contrary to us, I ain't got no time for you. I ain't got no tears for you. I'm not going to act like we cool because we're not. Simple as that. If you on some dumb shit 100% of the time, I'm not with it. Other than that, I'm fair. Other than that, I'm fair. I'm sorry. Jericho writes, what is the condition of his locks? Are they clean and well kept? Well, from the image that I saw right here, and there was another image in the Cincinnati Enquirer article. Let me see here. Yeah, it looks like they look nice. They look nice and well kept. Looks like a very handsome boy. Reminds me of my boy. My boy doesn't have locks. I'm not against it. We just didn't go that route. We never grew his hair out. If that was me, I'd probably do the same thing the family did, quite honestly, depending on how I felt about it. But I'm not against locks at all. You know what I'm saying? I even for a short time had some locks that were a little bit shorter than his locks. Speaking of the young boy, Aston Johnson, for a few years, man, it's hard to keep up. I'm just saying. So I ended up cutting them. So I'm pro lock. I'm pro natural hair. My wife and daughter have natural hairs. I love it. I promote natural hair. I'm about that. In terms of business, I don't even think about it. In fact, I prefer it. Says something about you that I like. And that's just me. So to answer your question, Jericho, I think they're nice and clean and well kept from what I saw. They look good to me. Again, when I see these little black boys, I think of my black boy. I see my son. I see myself. Sarah writes, this is not about education. This is about control. Well, just to play off of that, I mean, you're right. It is. It's about controlling the environment. Because I can already tell you what the educators are going to say. Like the people at Zion Temple are going to say, these are our standards. Again, I don't know their numbers. Somebody, if they've got the time, please shoot me the numbers if they're available in terms of their performance, educational performance. But let's assume, for the sake of the conversation, they're performing well. What they're going to say is, look, these are our standards. We create an environment that produces success. If you don't like it, don't come here. That's what they're going to say. That's what I would say. You don't like it? I mean, hey, I'm sorry, Mrs. Johnson. Sorry, Miss Johnson, but we're not doing that here. You don't like it? We'll holler at you. That's what they're going to say. Jericho writes, I definitely would not cut my child's hair to comply with a system. Are there white children at the school? ? If so, are there white male children with long hair? ? Are you getting an attorney? That's a good question. I didn't answer that question. I didn't see this. Maurice writes, just because a person has dark brown skin, light skin, doesn't make them a brother or a sister. You're right. I mean, on some levels, yes and no. Like, no matter what your mentality, so you might have a Clarence Thomas kind of black person out here, but to white people, he's black, even though the mentality might be different. So yes and no, Maurice. I mean, I hear what you're saying. Like, white folks that'll recognize Clarence Thomas will see, oh, he's different. He's Clarence Thomas. But for white people that, like, if Clarence Thomas is driving his Bentley or whatever he's driving, he gets stopped by a police officer that doesn't recognize him as Supreme Court justice, he's just another black man. You're just another brother. It is what it is. Alicia writes, why pay to send your child when he's not wanted? ? Even if the school changes their stance, I wouldn't send him back. I did ask her that, like, could she ever see a change of heart? She said, I'm open. Well, what she said is she's not going to close any door, but that there'd have to be some serious conversation, and maybe they would amend the rules in some way, some fashion like that. I don't know if that's even possible. Pamela writes, my 34-year-old daughter and nephew went to this school in kindergarten. My nephew and daughter were talking in class, and the pastor's wife taped their mouths. If I'm not mistaken, someone got taped to a wall. My mom went there and chewed them out. Both my daughter and nephew never went back again. If you tape my daughter's mouth, I'm going to put tape over your mouth and go to jail that day. I'm just telling you off the top. I'm telling you. I ain't telling you no BS. I'm telling you what I'm going to do. Whatever you do to my child, I'm going to do to you at any expense. And I want them to see it. Because that's just me protecting my child. Don't even get me started with nothing like that. Don't let something like that happen. I'm going to take tape in there and put tape on that woman's or that man's mouth and then deal with every consequences. They'll never do that again. They'll never do that again after they meet with me. Trust me on that. Bar none. And I don't give a damn what I have to do afterward. It just is what it is. Nothing boils my blood more than when children are abused, when older folks, when handicapped people are abused, when people who are not strong are abused. That boils my blood. And I believe in the reflection method. Whatever you do to me and mine, I'm going to do to you and yours. And that seems to work really well. See, some people only understand things when you do things. When the things happen to them, it's like, oh, I see it now. You got friends like that? They can't understand it should happen to you until it happens to them. And then it's like, you know what? You've been saying this. I understand now. Nigwa, please. Kendall writes crazy on YouTube. Good morning to you. I ain't just talking. I'm telling you. Sarah writes, these charter schools are set up to do whatever they want. I mean, what's the moral of the day? The moral of the day is stand by your consciousness. I've told black people you got to be prepared to go to jail at any moment to stand by your conscience. And perhaps you got to be prepared to take your kids out of certain schools to stand by your morals and stand by your principles. Welcome to being black in America. Kristen writes, we can't just teach our own. What about the charter school ran by black folks? Billy writes, Nate, I work in CPS school. I see how some of these kids act. Then see some parents come to school. I'm not willing to put my son in that environment. His education is too important to us. Okay, I agree with you. Deshauna writes, nice background, thank you. I'm shooting for the stars, Deshauna, so I figure my background should match my goals. Sarah writes, all of my sons have locks. I think locks are beautiful. Like I said, I was locking up about, this is way before little Buddha was born. So when I first got married, I don't think little Buddha, maybe she was born. I can't remember. I have to ask the wifey. But I think locks are beautiful. And you're right. Locks is a hairstyle. Natural is just letting it grow out. When you twist it up and lock it up, that's doing something to it. So that's a particular style, but it's a style of natural hair. You know what I'm saying? And part of me in this story feels like, why is natural black hair so looked down upon? Why is it so looked down upon? I don't get it. I mean, don't you have better things to worry about? I'm looking at a photographs of the young man. He looks like a upstanding, future leader. That's what he looks like to me. I don't see nothing different. His hair, okay, great. I think it looks cool on him. Do you remember the Crown Act? It's an acronym for creating a respectful and open world for natural hair. It was created in 2019 and aims to create protections from discrimination based on race-based hairstyles. And if you remember, there have been some other stories around, black people in their hair and locks and things like that. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find. 2017, a Toledo teen was forced out of a Central Catholic high school because of his locks. You had the Texas high school student DeAndre Arnold, who had his hair, who was forced out of school as well. In 2018, you had a New Jersey wrestler named Andrew Johnson, who was forced to cut his locks before he could compete. The referee was later suspended for 2 seasons, just straight up white supremacy. The referee in that moment exercised, I think it was a female referee. I think it was a white female, exercised her power to do what she wanted to do. So he had to cut his locks. Remember, the boy was crying before he could compete. I don't think that referee should ever be refereeing in that particular league ever again, in my opinion. Cincinnati was the second city of the nation to make it illegal to discriminate against people with natural hair. Are those protections still in place? Kelly writes, we need to open our own schools, not charter schools, because they still have to follow federal and state guidelines. We need to open our own private schools by black people for black people. There are some. But you got all kind of schools. You got schools that have more of a Christian and or religious base, and it's going to be a part of the curriculum and the overall morality that they promote and they project, right? You like it? You like it. You don't? You don't. Daniela writes, I thought Zion Temple was a black private school in Avondale. It is. Nat or something right there. Sorry. Jerica writes, I'm with you, Nate. I take charges too. Oh, hell yeah. It ain't even no thing. I'm telling you. Don't I shudder at the thought. I do. I don't even want to talk about it no more, quite honestly. It makes my blood boil. I hate it. Preying on weakness or weaker people or children or the elderly or handicapped. Nothing makes my blood boil faster or hotter than any of that. Sarah writes, I'm on board with that, Nate. I'm prepared to go to jail for mine. Oh, absolutely. Oh, on GP. Sorry about that. There's a gnat in the office here. I'll take care of it. Let me see. Lamidio writes, locks are amazing. Christianity plays a big part. The enslaved African mindset that the Eurocentric Nordic features is the standard of beauty. That's exactly what it is. That's what it sounds like. Toy writes, 2 issues. The Jamaican Supreme Court was in the news last week for banning locks in schools. It's part of distancing from Rastafarian culture. Sometimes it be your own people. Not grammatically correct, but locked 15 years. When it comes up in my profession, lawyer, I tell them how they are worried about the wrong thing. Hair hasn't gotten in the way of my credentials. I love it. Hey, thank you, Toy. Appreciate it. I don't believe it. It's just hair. It don't have nothing to do with your intelligence. It's just some BS that other people are caught up with. But it's what they are. The Lamidio writes, Zion Temple Christian Academy is a black school. The pastor of Zion Temple is a slave. Okay, that's strong right there. That's very, very strong. Hey, listen, I got to take a second break. Don't go anywhere, family. I'm still here at least until the bottom of the hour. We got started and I had to stop the show and restart again. So I want to give you a solid 2-hour flow every single morning. We'll rock to 10:30 a.m. Black hair not wanted at a Cincinnati private school? That's what the parents say. Matter of fact, we talked with one of the parents this morning, Mrs. Tina Johnson, and she gave us the rundown from her perspective on what really happened and why she made the decision that she did. And I'll be honest with you, I respect it. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
With the Bloomberg Black Business Report, I'm Donna Wilson. A minority-owned firm partners with Microsoft to launch a $250 million fund to help small and mid-sized businesses. Siebert Williams Shank has teamed up with Microsoft to launch the Clear Vision Impact Fund. Siebert Williams Shank is one of the country's top-ranked women and minority-owned investment banks. Pinterest has added a black board member. Pinterest named Andrea Wisham to its board as the company seeks to navigate increased tensions with employees over recent claims of gender and racial discrimination. Wisham is president of Skywalker Holdings and was a former exec at Oprah's Harpo Productions. And drug maker Novavax has begun a stage 2 trial of its potential COVID-19 vaccine in South Africa. Novavax received a $15 million grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's your Bloomberg Black Business Report. I'm Donna Wilson.
Are you interested in medical coding, but not sure where to start? And scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified, marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5stepscoder.
So listen, there are a few times in life to make history. Hamilton County was founded 230 years ago, but has never elected a black county treasurer. It's time for change. Elect a proven, trusted, experienced candidate for Hamilton County Treasurer, Charlie Winburn. We know Charlie, and he knows us. Charlie Winburn was the former chairman of the Jobs and Growth Committee on Cincinnati City Council under the Honorable Democrat Mayor Mark Mallory. Winburn led the fight to keep 2,000 U.S. postal jobs in Cincinnati. He also fought for wage increases for thousands of city employees, especially our sanitation workers. Charlie Winburn will safeguard more than $1.4 billion in real estate taxes and will increase new home ownership and new jobs. On Tuesday, November 3rd, vote Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer. Let's make history together.
I am Charlie Winburn, and I'm asking you for your vote, paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
You're listening to the Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now, let's get back to the flow.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Again, my apologies. We had some hiccups, I'll put it that way, as we began today's show. Hopefully, we've ironed them out. Good morning to you. Welcome back. Numerous things to discuss. You got me into the bottom of the hour. Live, local, and vocal. It's the Nathan Ivey Show. You already know, man, one microphone, one mission. And I'm glad you like today's background. Yes, I actually did that for another show that I'm working on that I'll tell you about later on this week. But I'm shooting for the stars, so the background should match my aspirations and goals. Hey, good morning to you. All right, where are we? Let's get back to our chat. Let me jump inside the chop shop this morning and finish up here. Cassandra writes, I know the lady in this story is about... Wait. I know the lady in this story. We grew up together, and her father is a prominent pastor in the community. She is an amazing young lady with a beautiful family. Sounds that way from what I see and what I mean. I'm just meeting them and being introduced to them, but it sounds that way and looks that way to me. I love black people with backbone. I love it. I'm all about it. Pam writes, many people with perms, so-called straight chemical styles, are not properly maintained. Stop picking on locks. Damn. Brian writes, JR will be attending Bethany School private at the end of this month. Their communication is great. Junior doesn't have long hair or anything, but they do have rules and regulations that we have to adhere to. One that I think is questionable is having to wear uniforms even during virtual schooling. LOL. Even during virtual schooling, which I get it. I kind of get it. I'm not against uniforms. Not against uniforms. In some cases and environments, I think it can be best. You know what I'm saying? It is an expense for the parents, but I mean, you got to pay for your kids to wear clothes no matter what. What's more money? Having a uniform or not having a uniform at your child's school? What's more money? What costs you more out of pocket? Whatever is less out of pocket, I'm for as a parent. And then instead of the kids, competing on who's got the latest this or that, everybody's wearing the same thing. Does that include the shoes? Because if not, they'll be competing on who's wearing Air Force Ones, who's wearing J's, things like that. But Ashley writes, why is walnut the standard for CPS? Because they have the most consistent and the highest numbers. That's why. I think another question, and perhaps even a better question, is why aren't all of the high schools, why don't they all perform in a similar fashion as Walnut Hills? You know what I'm saying? Why is it that if you live in the Cincinnati area, everybody's trying to get their kids into one school, one public school? Why is that? Why do we have lesser performing, elementary schools? Period. I think that's the question as well, Ashley. But good morning to you. Cassandra writes, it's not the best if they have to deny a core piece of themselves to obtain it. If that school is so offended by locks or natural hair, what else do they omit from their lesson plan? Because it makes them uncomfortable. It would make me feel like they are biased in other areas as well. Cassandra, you're reading my mind. I thought the same thing, because as soon as I hear this, I'm thinking, so what else are they super strict about, right? That perhaps if it was me, I'm thinking this is small, but it is what it is. Hold on, let me see if I got a response from Mr. Napier. I'm sure he's a very busy man. Okay, no response. Maybe I can call the school directly. You down for that? I call the school directly. I mean, you're not stopping us. Hold on, let me see if I get the number from Mount Zion. It's 10. They should be open. And see if we can talk to Mr. Napier just to get... Because I think, again, any leaders out there, do you lead a team? If you're a leader, like you lead a team, tell me if I'm wrong about this. But in my humble opinion, I think that you got to have your rules. You got to have your core values. You know, people have to understand where we're growing and things like that. But I think good leadership is flexible. It's contextual, right? And these days and times, you got to be flexible to meet your team or your constituents or your audience where they are. That's just me. That's just me. And here we are now having this national conversation about black folks, the way black folks are treated, the black family, what is black, right? So I think this conversation coming from Cincinnati fits into that. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. I'm reading comments from the Chop Shop. CG Dub writes, damn, I was looking into sending my grandson there. He doesn't have locks, but his mom keeps him in braids. Uh-oh. See, I told you. I'm not surprised to hear that. Good morning to you, CG Dub. I'm not surprised to hear. Somebody's going to hear the conversation for the first time this morning, or hear about this school for the first time, and or someone was thinking about sending their child to that school. I'm not surprised to hear it. That's interesting. Pam writes, locked and loving it. I love it. I love the locks. Indy Irie said it best. I am not my hair. She did. They should play that over at Zion Temple. Black Russia writes, Ashley, is because of strong alumni backing. Every alum takes the institution seriously. Hashtag, man, I hear what you're saying, Black Russia. I ain't trying to go after no Walnut Hills alumni, but in my opinion, people graduate from Walnut Hills, they rep Haunted Hills, and they don't know what the hell's going on at Walnut Hills right now. They have no idea, no connection. They ain't doing nothing. They repped because you went there, you got that. They might even be sending some cash, maybe. You know what I'm saying? But they rocking a t-shirt and they don't know what's really going on at the school. They don't know what parents are dealing with. They don't know what students are dealing with. They don't know what I know. That's for damn sure. They ain't seen what I've seen. They ain't talked to the parents I've talked to who are actually there right now. So I shout out. That's why I say Walnut Hills alumni. You're alumni of any school. You just can't rep the school, right, and wear the t-shirt. You got to actually be in tune to what's going on and be willing to reach back and help. I'm just saying that's a challenge to Walnut Hill alumni because it's a lot of you. You know what I'm saying? I remember talking to what's his name? It's your boy Black Russia. He's the new CPS member. What's his name again? White male, raised a lot of money, took Ozzie Davis' seat after all the stuff happened with Ozzie. What's the brother's name? I can't remember the gentleman's name. I can see his face clearly, but I cannot remember his name. And I reached out to him for an interview recently. Didn't get an interview back. Didn't get no response or anything. I'm like, damn, you brand new now? You on the school board? You was down for an interview when you was running. You get on the school board, you can't return a message for a media opportunity. What is the man's name? Somebody help me out here. Anyway, but I remember when I interviewed him because he's a Walnut Hills alumni, and I challenged him like, have you been in the school building? Nope. You running for school board. You repping Walnut Hills, but you don't even know what's going on there? So what's wrong with that picture? I'm saying you can't rep your city if you ain't doing nothing in the city. You can't rep your high school and you just completely disconnected in what happened with the high school. I'm just saying. I'm getting a message here. Oh, I'm getting a call here. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, comrade.
Hey, Black Russia. I was just talking about you. I was reading your comment.
Yeah, I was listening to you. Yeah, Ben Lynch, you remember his name?
Ben Lindy, right. Ben Lindy.
Yeah, that's my class, the class of 1999, the Almighty.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He seems like a good guy.
But, you know, I wanted to call about the topic, too. I mean, the hair, you know, when you go to private schools, it's one of them situations where you kind of got to deal with that or you just don't go there. You know, they kind of got their own thing going on in private schools all around. I wonder how many of the high school private schools like Moeller and, you know, Elder, you know, what their rules are on here. I just haven't seen anything about it, but I'm just curious as to what the other high schools are doing.
Yeah. That's a fair question.
Like at Moeller, yeah, they got afros and everything. I see most of the players, they wear their hair. So maybe it's just Zion Temple thing.
Could be. And again, to your point, the parents did just that. They moved on.
Yeah, I think, you know, that's a decision it's a personal decision where you want your kids educated at. And some things parents can deal with and some things parents, you know, aren't going to deal with. They're going to move on and find other opportunities, which, you know, totally respect you paying your money. You know, you should have a say in how things are operating. If you have no say, then, you know, you can withdraw your money.
True.
So, you know, I hear the conversation going on. I'm just like, you know, it kind of cuts both ways. It's like when you want the private school education, you want to pay that money. You kind of go along with what the program is. You're paying for the program. You know, you can have disagreements and all that, but if you know if it's too much, then yeah, like these parents did. You know, I respect their decision. You know, pull them out, find another opportunity. You know, when one door closed, another one open, right?
Sometimes. That's what they say. Sometimes it works like that.
Yeah, sometimes it don't.
Sometimes it don't, right?
But you know, we'll see what happens with the kids, and you know, maybe experience. They're gonna remember that experience for sure.
That's true. That's true.
You know, that's a learning. You know, I guess they paid for that education right there about black hair. So I don't know. But in terms of what you were saying about Wanda Hills, you know, I wear Wanda Hills on my sleeve. Yeah, people don't go on there every single day, but people do know what's going on. They don't talk about what's going on because, you know, people protect the institution. You know, that's just how it operates. I mean, it's been around since 1895. You know, it's one of those situations. They finally got a black principal. And it's like, you know, he can only do so much.
Well, then
you can only do so much.
So what if you got a black, what's the difference of having a black principal if the black students aren't protected and looked after? So what?
But you know, you say like you know what's going on to say that they're not protected by this black principal of one of his high school. I'm just like, I don't believe that.
But you're not there.
I don't believe that.
But you're not there, are you?
I don't have to be there.
You would have to be there. No, you would have to be there. You would have to be there, and you'd have to have students there to have any kind of experience into that.
I've been there.
Yeah. You were there when? When were you there?
When it was white principals there.
Yeah, but when? What year did you graduate?
1999.
20 years ago.
Yeah, a little 20 years ago. That's correct.
Right. So you don't know. And if you're,
I know the institution. Like you said earlier,
you remember the institution.
No, I know the institution. There's no question about it. You take that, like you talk to all the alumni, the institution goes everywhere they go, and they know what's going on in the institution.
No, that's your perception of what you remember when you went there. Two different things. Do you volunteer at Warner Hills? Do you volunteer at Warner Hills?
Not recently, but I have after I graduated, even after college.
When was the last time you were? When was the last time you volunteered at Warner Hills?
Let me see. It's 2020 now. I'm going to say it was about 10 years, about 2010. I was in town. Before I left town.
So you ain't been there in a decade. So you don't know.
About a decade, yes.
You don't know.
I know what's going on. I do know.
How could you know what's going on and you're not there? You haven't been there. You don't have students there. You don't have any people there.
No, the institution. No, the institution is bigger than people there. The institution will continue even past when we're gone. Okay, people know what the institution is about. Okay, to say that this black principal ain't protecting the black kids at that school, it's not, he's irresponsible, and you just saying it, but you ain't saying you ain't.
No, actually, it's irresponsible for you to question it, and you don't got no experience. You ain't been there in 10 years. You ain't got no kids there. You don't care. You ain't there. That's what's irresponsible.
I don't care. Come on.
Because if you cared as an alumni, you'd be there volunteering. You have your hands in the dirt. You're not there. You've moved on.
Institutions take care of them kids. I watch what the institutions producing. They're producing black kids, black excellent kids.
Okay.
Your daughter goes there.
Okay.
If there was any other option to Cincinnati public schools for your kids to go, I think you'll probably look at that option, but you've chose the best option for your children.
So now you want to fall back on what I'm telling you. So if you're going to fall back on what I'm telling you, then I'm telling you what I know because I'm there right now. You talking about you graduated 20 years ago. We in two different worlds. You don't even know what you're talking about, B. Man, you have no idea. You can't challenge what I'm experiencing today because of what you experienced 20 years ago. That's ridiculous.
You have your experience.
I have my current experience, and you have your 20-year-old experience.
That's right. But you
okay then?
You a parent.
Okay. Exactly. I am a parent.
That's cool.
Exactly. You're right about that. I am a parent. You're right, and you're not. So like I said, you don't know. You should talk about what you know, not what you think based upon your 20-year-old memory. Your 20-year-old memories.
I know the black kids are protected in Walnut Hills by the black principal. And there's other black folks in there who protect those black kids.
Really?
I know some of the
like who?
Absolutely.
Like who?
I can name drop for you.
Name.
I got somebody in there
name
right
drop.
now. No, I ain't gonna. I'll name them out. I ain't gonna do it like that.
Oh, okay.
What I will say is,
so you don't know. You don't know what you talking about. You talking about what you think and you feel, but you can't challenge what I'm dealing with every single day with my children. You ain't in no position, B. But I appreciate what you're saying.
I hear what you're saying, and I respect your experience with your kids there. But I can tell you right now, I got a great friend I talk to almost 4 or 5 times a week who actually is in there every single day.
Yeah, and I know who you talk. I think I know who you talking about. And so what?
Okay.
And
so I know for a fact black people are in there protecting black kids.
Okay. Listen, I just posed it as a question. And, I'm just telling you that you as an alumni, you're a Walnut Hills alumni, if you care, get involved on a regular basis. Don't just talk about it's the institution 20 years ago. Get involved on a regular basis. If you're going to rep your high school, whether it's Walnut Hills or Taft or whatever, get involved with the school. That's my larger point.
Okay, well, I appreciate the challenge, but I got my pulse too. I got my ear to the ground of what's going on Walnut Hills.
You know somebody that works there and he tells you stuff. I get it.
Every day.
Right.
Every day it's a he. How you know it's a he?
Because I know who you're talking about. We talked about this before.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay, so we ain't got no mention today, but that guy's in there protecting black kids every day at the institution.
Yeah.
I know for a fact.
Meh.
Okay,
I'm just telling you. I mean, I'm glad you got friends, but you can't challenge my experience. I've talked with parents, black and white parents who go there right now. You can't challenge that, bro. Unless you've done the same thing I've done, which you have not. You're in no position to challenge. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
That's not, again, the only thing we're talking about right now is whether the black principal and the black staff.
No, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is whether. No, that's not the conversation. That's just one facet of it. I brought that up later. What we started talking about is Walnut Hills alumni and the alumni of any high school that rep they school and claim to be about it, and you ain't nowhere to be seen in real time. That's the real issue.
The real issue is you challenge alumni to know what's going on in the industry.
Yes.
That's what you did.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
Because I asked Ben Lindy.
Me personally, I can't speak for everybody else. I can only speak for me. I know what's going on in there.
No, you don't.
Period.
No, you don't.
I do.
You've been told what's going on.
I told you, I know.
You've been told what's going on. To know, you'd actually have to be there, and you're not there. You just admitted you ain't been there in 10 years.
Every day. I don't have to be there, bro. I got people who I trust, who I've known for over 20 years, who are in there.
Well, that's a whole new definition of knowing what you're talking about because somebody told you. But if that works for you, go right ahead. In my world,
come on, bro.
In my world, and when I say I know what I'm talking about, it's because I've seen it and experienced it myself. But I guess we can have two definitions of knowing what you talk about. Okay, that works for you.
Yeah, from a parent perspective, I'm not going to challenge your parent perspective. But from my perspective, being an alum and then eventually
being an alum who hasn't been there in over 10 years.
I ain't got bro, you just gonna totally dismiss that I got people I talk to all the time who are in the institution.
I am.
Why? Why would you challenge that?
Because
that's the truth.
I mean, it might be your truth, but it's not as valuable as someone who has day-to-day insights.
Oh, so people who work there, African American people who work at Walnut Hills, don't have day-to-day insights?
No, I'm talking about your insight. You can't hang your hat on what somebody's telling you. Just like I said beforehand, you actually have to be there. Go volunteer on a daily basis, then get back with me.
You're not in class 7:30 to 2:30, bro. But that's the thing.
I'm just telling you.
Secondhand information too.
Have you talked to any parents? No.
I don't have to talk to any parents.
You don't have to talk. Okay, then. So you getting a one-sided perspective from one of your friends. You're not there. You don't talk to no parents, but you're gonna tell me what's going on. It's laughable.
Bro, I got friends who got the kids there. We don't talk about Walnut Hills. We don't have to.
Okay.
Because they know what the institution is.
Right.
So I've had conversations with parents who got their kids there who know what the institution is all about.
Okay.
And they send their kids there because they're destined for great. And they want the kids to excel at great.
Okay.
Okay. And that's what it's about. So I talk to parents. We don't talk about Walnut Hills all the time because we do a social media, but as far as
I'm just gonna tell you, brother.
My people there, hey.
Yeah, your people there. I get it. I'm going to tell you that you have an information deficit. I'm just going to tell you that. I know you think you know and you got it all, but you got a serious information deficit. I'm just going to tell you. Now you can close that gap by getting involved and not just talking about what you did 20 and 10 years ago, or you can remain oblivious and think you got it all figured out because you got a friend that works there.
Look, man. Again, I got people on the inside. I know what's going on there. I trust the people. I trust the African Americans that work at the Walnut Hills High School.
Sure, you do. I hear it. I'm glad you do.
You should too.
Okay, I got a different experience.
That's cool. You had a parental experience. I'm talking to staff.
Which is the most valuable experience, right? Which is the most valuable experience.
Which one's more valuable? It depends on who you're talking. I mean, for you, it's going to depend. For the other person, it might be the staff perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to help black kids over there.
Right, right. Right, I get you.
It depends on who you ask. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to get the perspective of the parent and your experience is there. Because every parent ain't got the same experience, number one. But number two, your experience is valuable.
It boils down to this. It boils down to this, as I said before. Whether it's Walnut Hills or Taft or whatever high school, you repping your school, get involved with your school on a regular basis. Volunteer. Get involved so you know what's going on in real time, not just your perception of the institution of the school that from 20 years ago. That's the challenge.
Hey, I trust the black people at the institution.
You said that.
Protecting black kids.
You said that.
I want to make sure I reiterate that, right?
You said that.
Black folks over there, I trust them. They have the best interest of kids in mind. I can't speak for everybody over there, but hey, the black folks, I know they got the best interest.
It's a lot of people with best interest that don't do a damn thing, don't say nothing, and don't stand up. You're right about that.
Stand up? What are you talking about? It's not about standing up.
I'm just saying.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, you can have all the best interest in the world, but if you ain't willing to stand up and challenge when you see things are wrong and stand up for the right thing, it don't make no difference. So you're right. There's a lot of good people well-intentioned. I don't disagree with that. But how do those well-intentions manifest themselves is the real question. So I'm sure you're right. There's a lot of well-intentioned people at Walnut Hills and at all the schools. But so what? If they ain't really standing up and fighting for the right thing in real time when it really matters. So you're right.
Define what the right thing is. I mean, this is a multi-layered conversation.
It is, man. We'll have to get into it another time. But again, you're at an information deficit. Before we do all of that, go get involved. Not what somebody's telling you, but get involved, then get back to me.
I trust the staff over there.
I know you do, because you ain't got to do nothing. Because you ain't got to do nothing. You can just talk on the phone and somebody tells you something and you take it for heart. Okay, you can keep doing that. But my challenge to you is, if you're going to rep your school, get involved with your school in real time. And you'll have a better understanding. Go talk with the parents in real time. You have a better understanding. Until then, you can't really challenge where I'm coming from. Because I'm talking about what I know. I ain't talking about... See, the difference between you and me is I ain't talking about what somebody told me. I'm talking about what I've seen and what I know. So we on two different levels with it, bro.
You got in there 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m.
You ain't in there at all, bro. You ain't in there at all. You just on the phone or getting a text. So you're in no position to challenge my expertise or my experience on this. But I understand where you're coming from. You do have your own insight on it.
I just talk to people people who they're celebrating the truth.
I know you said it. You talk to people.
Right.
I understand. I get it.
Right.
I get it.
African American people.
African American people. Right. I get it.
Right. And I understand your perspective again, like I said. So have a good day. We'll probably this will probably come up a little more. You know, what's going on over there?
The conversation about CPS is an ongoing conversation. The conversation right now with CPS is about their anti-racism policy. So again, a lot of what you're saying don't even make sense. But I get it, bro. But you're right. This will come back up.
All right, bro.
You take it easy. Oh, he almost got me going. Don't talk about these babies. You can't listen. I talk about what I know, and not what somebody told me. When you hear me talking, I speak very specifically about what I see, what I know, what I hear. I'm very specific about that. And when I don't have that insight, I share that. I say, listen, I don't know this firsthand. Nobody with third or fourth hand knowledge can challenge my firsthand knowledge on no topic. And I say this to anybody that goes to any school and you want to rep your school, get involved. Get involved in real time and understand what's going on. This is bigger than just Walnut Hills. Any school, get involved. And when I talk to Ben Lindy, caller, hold on for 1 second. I'll bring you straight on. When I talk to Ben Lindy, who is all proud about going to Walnut Hills, and I asked him, man, when's the last time you stepped in the building? He was like, what? Wait. You repping your school. You're running for school board. You ain't even stepped in your school. You don't even know what's going on. That's a problem for me. You know what I'm saying? If you're a school board member and you're asked about what's going on in these schools, you should have some kind of knowledge about what's happening in these schools that you represent. Otherwise, you can't do it effectively, period. Miss me with all the nonsense. It's impossible. Talking about what somebody told him. What somebody told you? I'm telling you what I have seen and experienced with my own eyes. And again, I don't doubt that. I mean, I used to work in CPS. I know for a fact there's a lot of great people, a lot of good people that care about our children. So I don't challenge that at all, but come on, man. Let me go straight to the phones. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nate. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Who am I speaking with?
My name is Gabriel. Actually, my nephews are being discriminated right now.
Really? Where at?
Yeah. They go to Zion Academy.
Really? Are your nephews the ones in the newspaper article?
Correct.
Okay. So Gabriel, welcome to the show. Tell me your experience.
Honestly, man, my language kind of fucked up. My nephew is 6 years old. How can you discriminate a 6-year-old because of his hair that he's had for the past 2 years? Mine for you, my nephew has baby locks. Anybody know what baby locks is? Most females have them. They start them out before they get long locks. Now all of a sudden you have a new policy where my nephew and my other nephew cannot even go to the school because of their hair. So now 2 working parents, which is my sister and brother-in-law, has to bust their ass. You want to know what I'm mad? So they're trying to find another school to put them in right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Christian school. Now, I called myself. I got time all day today. I called the church because it is split with the church, and I talked to the administrative assistant, and I told her it's best that the pastor call me or the parents ASAP before Channel 5, Channel 12, Channel 9 get a hold of it. Because she messed with the wrong family. We don't play. My sister's a nurse on the front line, not back line, the front line. These are good kids. They don't cuss. They well mannered. They can hang with you all day. Treat you like an uncle or whatever. Good kids. COVID-19 going on. This is a black church, not white. Black church. So this ain't like a white school discriminating against black kids. It's a black people doing it against our own black kids. But yet we say Black Lives Matter. Yeah, we say kids matter. These are my nephews. So yeah, I'm pissed. I'm in Atlanta. I can go on the fight anytime. Anytime. So yeah, I'm pissed. As a parent, as an uncle, even as a brother, I'm pissed. Very pissed.
And what makes you the most? What ticks you off the most?
This is kid. I don't care if it's your kid. I don't care if it's your nephew. He's 6 years old, innocent. He has baby locks. That's all. And now, because your policy changes, that prevents my nephew from going to your school that he's been going to, that he just graduated from this year from kindergarten. He just graduated this year from kindergarten, so he'd be going to first grade. So now all of a sudden, the policy changes within the last, 3 months? Because of the hair? Now, mind you, my sister and her husband, Nate, both have dreadlocks. Beautiful long locks. Beautiful. So now, of course, they want their son to have locks. So now all of a sudden, he cannot go to the school because of locks. Something is wrong. And again, this is a Christian school. And I'm sure the pastor doesn't know this. And when I called, I told the lady, hey, it's best you tell the pastor now before it blow up. Because when it blow up, then the church is going to be held accountable. Not the academy. It's going to be the church first, then the academy.
I think I spoke with your sister earlier this morning, and she shared her story with us. I was very grateful for her time this morning. Yeah. And it's head scratching. I mean, I think two things can be true at the same time. You can have natural hairstyles, you can have locks, and still have an environment that's conducive for education. The one thing that stood out to me were two things. One is it's a private institution, so it's kind of like they can set the rules as they want to some degree, right? And either you get in where you fit in or you don't. But then secondly, she said she had some breakdowns with the communication where, she stopped receiving, communication from the school when she was trying to, get some questions answered, which, is problematic. Because when you're a parent, you're just trying to get you got questions. You're just trying to get answers. You know what I'm saying? You understand you don't have no control, but you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I navigate this? Is this something I can work with, and why? And it seems like some of those questions just weren't answered. She was stonewalled.
And even on the website, so on the website you say contact us. Everybody's number is the same. I've called multiple times this morning. Nobody answered. So I called the church because the church is affiliated with the academy. And luckily, when I called, like 10:15, the lady just getting in there. I had to apologize to her because, of course, nobody wants to go to work and receive bad news right away. So I'm telling this lady about what's going on, and as a parent or a grandmother, she's like, wow, she don't even know what's going on. Because she's running the church and not running the academy. Which, again, I get because the church may be different from the academy, different employees. I totally get that. But at the same time, this academy represents the church. So if the academy goes down, the church goes down. And when the news going to say Zion Church first. They don't go say Zion Academy. So everybody who goes there is already at fault for letting a 6-year-old not go to your school for some locks that he's been having for the past 2 years. That doesn't make sense. As an uncle, as a father, grandfather, whatever, that doesn't make sense at all.
Hey, Brother Graber, I appreciate your call, man. I reached out to Mr. Napier Jr., who I believe is the assistant principal, to see if we can get him on just to give his perspective, on, his decision or the decision made by the school. So hopefully we'll get a call either today or tomorrow, and we at least get his side of the story.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Take it easy.
Thank you for your time, man.
Absolutely.
You too.
Yeah, most def. I mean, I think it's a fair conversation. I think it's a fair question, even if it's a private institution. I think it's a fair question, a fair conversation. I think that parents deserve answers, whether it's a private school or public school. Parents deserve to be treated with respect. I mean, as a parent, you're investing, especially in a private school, you're investing in that institution. So when things maybe don't go as planned, you deserve, at the very least, to have your questions answered. You know what I'm saying? That's the least you can do. But again, I'm not there, so I can't really speak on anything in particular. Again, I'm very, very specific about this. When you hear me giving an opinion, I'm telling you what I know. And I've talked with some CPS parents that if you're a person that has any kind of conscience, it won't, when you hear their stories, it won't end right there. You'll take it home with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm a very empathetic, caring kind of person. And there's some real issues. There's some real issues across the country. And, Black Russia was trying to take the conversation in a different way. I do have question marks about Walnut Hills and all the schools, but my daughter does attend Walnut Hills. I do have question marks. And listen, I said it to when I talked with the superintendent. You think I ain't going to say it when I'm talking to him? I said the same thing. It is what it is. And whatever happens with it. I'm just giving you my honest truth. And I'm more concerned about all the other parents out there who may not be as vocal as I am, who have to deal with these kind of issues. And that's the reason why right now, Cincinnati Public School is dealing with an anti-racism policy. Why are they doing this? We got a whole bunch of black principals. We got a black superintendent. We got black school board members. The president of the school board is black. But yet the school board is mulling over anti-racism policies. Why do you think that is? You think they're just making that up? It just came out of nowhere. It's because they're responding to what they're getting from parents and the Times. So the whole tokenism thing, miss me with that. We got a black male Supreme Court justice. Does that mean that every decision he's made has always been in the best interest of promoting the safety of the black community? I mean, I would say no. You know what I'm saying? So I love to see black people in leadership, man. I love it. But what you do with that leadership is what you really get judged upon. That goes for anybody. You know what I'm saying? Across the board. So. But we shall see. Like I said, there's a lot of good people that work for CPS. I'm sure there's a lot of good people that work over at Zion Temple. I'm sure they care very, very much. This is their policy and it's being affected and put it out there in this particular way. I think it's worthy of the conversation. Frene writes, education versus self-confidence, self-love, self-worth. Billy writes, we could open a black school for us, ran by us. Someone would have a problem with something. Never going to be perfect. Never going to be a perfect setting. True. Kendall writes non-uniforms. Kelly writes because of the other high schools can't kick students out. The Lamidio writes, I know Mr. Rodney Napier, and he is one of the biggest slaves in the United States. He is all about Jesus, not black people. Damn. His words, not me. Damn. I ain't going to call the brother a slave. Kendall writes, leadership should be open to change. It should be flexible to the context. Sometimes the circumstances and the context will change. You got to change with it in some cases, depending on what you're dealing with. Angela writes, they always saying how we should wear our hair, but white people color their hair all the time, and it's not natural. Kelly's cracking up. Gabriel writes, these are my nephews. I need to call in. We just heard from Gabriel. Daryl writes, this is funny. He's telling the parent with a child currently attending the school. Right. He going to tell me I got a kid there. I'm invested. He going to tell me what's going on because you know somebody that you talk on the phone with. It's ridiculous, man, but it is what it is, man. Oh, man. Letty writes, what an outlandish rule that any black Christian academy was set for students. The school guidelines for students is not wear their natural hair, deserve no respect or debate, private or public. This is about control. Gabriel writes, okay, next. Gabriel writes, talk to me. I know what's going on. Frene writes, hang up on him. I think I'm talking about Black Russia. Pat writes, get him, Nate. Listen, he a chopper. He supports the show. He supports me. I know that. But on this issue, come on, man. Like I said, I mean, if you were an alumni of a high school, it ain't enough for you just to say, I went there. Get involved. Know what's going on before you talk to a parent that's actually got a student at that particular school. Because it ain't an even playing field. You know what I'm saying? You don't have it. I don't give a damn who you gonna talk to on the phone. It's not the same. Because I got skin invested. I got a child that's there. You used to be there 20 years ago. It ain't the same, B. It ain't nowhere the same. It ain't nowhere near the same. Kendall writes, OMG. Marcia writes, that's crazy. My family have to go through this. It's not fair. Letty writes, Zion Academy is more like being controlled by white elites. White races do not respect black culture, and many of non-races don't respect us either. Is that right? Is that right? I see Ashula is inside the chop. She writes, Shalom, Nathan and the Choppers. Good morning to her. Good morning to you. Pam writes, today's topic is going to get you worked up. Black parents are being told their kids can't wear locks in a certain school. Pam writes, very oxymoronic. Clumazic writes, ask her what she plans to do when she enrolls or tries to enroll her son in another school and they tell you no locks. Mike writes, 2020 and some of these Negroes are still propping up white supremacy in the form of Christianity. Pam writes, time to wake up. Ashula writes, I'm actually speaking with my sister now. She said the handbook doesn't state no locks. It states that the boys cannot have hair longer than 1.5 inches long. That is their dress code. Okay. Angela writes, question, what does she hope to gain from this? Apology, policy change? I missed that. She writes, embarrass the school administration? CG Duck writes, as a parent, give me the opportunity to speak to the higher ups, i.e. the board. Don't have the assistant principal give me the final say. Angela writes, Tracy writes, well, there it is. I'm not sure where this was in the conversation at 9:43. Ashula writes, it's all a shame. 1.5 inches is not long at all. Mrs. Love Being Black writes, have to go. Have a great day, everyone. Unfortunately, there is no predominantly black school in Cincinnati. That's Ashula. You won't see it at Cincinnati Country Day or any other predominantly white private school. But why doesn't a predominantly black private school embrace our culture that is in the Bible? Angela writes, Pentecostal based. Ashula writes, tough choice to make, hair or education. And I think I can't speak for Mrs. Johnson, but from what I gather, what I collected from talking with her is that it's not just about hair. It's what the hair represents to their family unit. You know, the bond between father and son. That's what this is watering. That's what I heard from her. She said it several times. My son looks in the mirror and wants to be like his daddy. And this black woman said, I'm not going to sever this emotional connection. And if I got to sacrifice, whatever this school might offer, I'm willing to do that. That's what I heard. Tracy writes, I need a 2-hour nap right now. Angela writes, CPS is a separate beast. Ashula writes, no issues with the girls wearing long locks, just boys longer than 1.5 inches. King Kobla writes, don't matter if they're roughneck locks, it ain't a effing Jesus perm. Ray writes, and folks wonder why when you get to corporate America, you have to wear wigs and tracks before you get hired. Then wear your natural hair after probation. Other than the regular supremacy they see, well, y'all don't stick together with something as natural as hair. Why should we? Let me see, catching up here. Ray writes, Nicholas Sandman is speaking at the RNC. Still wondering if the Jews demanded that he learn indigenous culture or to visit the American Indian Museum or suggested he gives up some of that lawsuit bread to American Indians. I'll wait. I did read that. So Nick Sandman was a young white kid at the Covington Catholic School, I believe, in northern Kentucky, which is from where I'm at, less than 10 minutes away, really maybe 6 minutes away from me over the bridge. And remember, there's a big lawsuit where his family sued a bunch of media companies because they said they distorted the story or something like this. It was nothing more than a plot to try to get some money. You know what I'm saying? That's all it really was. And it seems like they got paid somehow. Now he's going to be speaking at the RNC. He was an operative from day one. Culture wars. It looks like they won. Ashula writes, honestly, though, there were 18 people shot in Cincinnati just the other day. Is the boy having long hair story really that important, relatively speaking? Well, we spoke about that yesterday, and that's going to be an ongoing conversation, Ashula. I think there's a lot of things going on. Brian writes, I'm not a fan of young boys having braids anyhow. Sharp writes, it's a distraction. I don't think it's a distraction. I don't think it's a distraction because, if the conversation and again, we're going to have future conversations about this. I'm scheduled to have another conversation about that as well. I'll tell you more about it later on today and possibly tomorrow. And you can check out the live stream. But I think that we need a series of conversations. You know what I'm saying? There's multiple things going on, and I try to address a lot of it. Ray writes, I think it may coincide. These young people have self-esteem challenges, mental illness, and trauma. So I think it starts with how you feel about yourself, and snatching the self-esteem from a child could be long-lasting. It's bigger than what a school allows or not, but I hear you. Right. I think it's bigger than just that, but I feel you as well. I hear you. Let me see. Pam writes, we got to wake up, Ashula. Indoctrination and brainwashing is real. Cassandra writes, a lot changes in life in 10 years, let alone a school system. If you haven't even volunteered in 10 years, you're out of touch. I try to tell them that. You don't know what you're talking about. Let me see. At all of the successful schools, parent involvement is the key. If you get a whole lot of high performing parents, right, in one school, chances are that's going to produce something different than if it's not as evenly dispersed in other schools. That's just my observation. Because that parental environment, that parental involvement, having parents that have the cash and or the time to dedicate to a school to fully develop the PTO that can actually have an impact, to really get involved, that means a lot, because the school administrators and teachers can't do it by themselves. So when you have parents that have that luxury, that privilege, it means everything. It means everything. Fox writes, I went to Zion Temple in the early 70s and my hair was longer than 1.5 inches. Afros was in full effect by then. We need our own institutions. What we getting for our votes? ? We need land and money to build our own. I see plenty of Hebrew schools and Catholic schools around here. I could go on for days and days and read all these comments, but I got to make a move. Got to make a move this morning. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Sister V writes, we have to kick these kinds of organizations who parade around as culturally specific for our children, but carry white values need to be kicked out of the community. Jack Frost is on YouTube. He writes, he who controls the funding controls the policy. I know that's true. Hold on, let me see if I got any messages. I put out an invite to the show this morning. Let me see if I got any messages, and I'll put them up on the screen. Hold on one second here. I had asked, and again, I'm not sure how, not everybody's on Facebook like that. Not everybody checks their social media on a regular basis. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. But listen, I got to make a move, family. I really appreciate you being here. I really, really do. All right. Supporting this show. One good way to support this show is by supporting the sponsors of this show. And there's a link in the description of today's show on Facebook and on YouTube that links back to the website of today's sponsor. So please do your due diligence and please share the message. Could actually, if it's not right for you, it could be right for someone that you know. All right. Have an excellent rest of your Tuesday. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning. I did not plan on spending the entire morning talking about this one issue. There are multiple things going on, but sometimes it works that way. I appreciate all of the callers, to my patrons, to the choppers, to Team and I, to the listeners and viewers this morning. Thank you for being here. Have an excellent rest of your Tuesday. Remember our motto: winners focus on winning. Losers focus on winners. Stay focused, stay winning, and we'll talk real soon. I'm out.